This video is not about a restaurant. It's about a band. But with your permission, it will start with the story of a restaurant. A restaurant called St. Lo. And yes, I'm drinking gin. No, do not ask me what time of day it is. Hint, far too early to be drinking gin. Far too early. But I don't give a shit. Anyways, there was a restaurant here in Toronto called St. Lo. They'd been open since 2020, if I'm not mistaken, but I came to know of them in December 2024. My wife and I were walking back from the Christmas market in the Distillery District. Now, if you live in Toronto, you know the Distillery District around Christmas market time is just insanely packed. It's too much. I wanted to go to Madrina. Great Spanish joint. They're in the Michelin Guide. I would have been happy going to Clooney's. I would have been happy going even to that Mexican place. I don't remember the name of it. Or Burning Flame, the winery that's there. I would have been happy hanging out more in the Distillery District is my main point. But it was literally too busy, too crowded, too insane. Plus, I'm a certified Grinch. I'm a certified full-blown Grinch. So all the Christmas vibes was getting to me a little bit. So we left. We left quite early. But we still wanted to do something because it was a pretty nice day and neither of us had to go to work the following day and we just wanted to do something fun. So we started walking back towards the St. Lawrence Market and we walked through Market Street, which is kind of adjacent to the market. And I noticed a little sign that said happy hour oysters, like a buck a shuck basically, and house glass, like house wine by the glass for like $6 a glass. And I said, let's go in there. Whatever. I never seen it before, never noticed it before. I just saw the little sign with the oysters and the wine. I said, fuck it, let's go in. And my wife and I loved it so much in that place, which was St. Lo, that we basically made it our like signature hangout spot for the next 4 months or so. Like, if I got off work early, I used to work pretty close to there, so if I got off work early, maybe around 9:30, Anna would meet me there, and we'd drink cocktails, and we'd drink wine, and we'd dance, because there was usually music late at night as well, and there was so much really great food. Like, hands down, some of the best food I've ever had in this city. And that's saying a lot. There's a lot of great food in Toronto. So many great fine dining restaurants, casual restaurants, Italian, Mexican, Japanese, Korean, Indian, Peruvian, French, you name it, we have it, and it's great. But St. Lo, mwah. I mean, the mackerel crudo, ugh. The andouille mussels with frites, ooh. I'm having like a fucking orgasm just thinking about those mussels. The fried feta, the fried king oyster mushrooms, the flat iron steak, the curried hummus. Quite possibly the best hummus I've ever had in my entire life. It has ruined hummus for me. It's that good. I can't just go somewhere and get hummus. I can't. Not unless it tastes like the curried hummus I had at St. Lo. Otherwise, I'm not sold. Sorry, bye, fuck off. I was starting to think that St. Lo could end up in the Toronto Michelin Guide as well because their food was just so cool, so unique, so fantastic, so delicious, and so consistent in all of these areas all the times. And it didn't cost like a shit ton. Like, it was fairly affordable, at least in my opinion. But despite this, the owners of St. Lo decided to call it quits. They decided to hang up their aprons and call it a day. And they sold St. Lo. And St. Lo officially closed in late April. Like, literally just barely 2 months ago. And I was there for one of their last dinner services. And it was sad. I mean, there was good spirits in the air, but, you know, it was sad because there were so many of us that had come to really love St. Lo because it offered something really unique and really cool for the area. Something that a lot of us really wanted, like some fun nightlife and some great food, great cocktails for that area. And it was going, and it was leaving, and it was sad. I feel like St. Lo simultaneous to all of their success, had never really reached their peak. I feel like they were still a pretty underrated spot in the city. And I'm telling you this story because I think the story of the Lion's Daughter is pretty similar. Like, they've been kicking around for a long time, but I came to know them closer to the end of their lifespan, I suppose. And I saw them putting out some of the most unique, creative, and consistently great music within all of metal within these past, 5, 6, 7 years, really. And I felt they were on their way to greatness. I mean, they'd already released some amazing albums, but with the pace they were going at, and with the level of insanity that was in their music, and the quality of the music, I was convinced that I was starting to think that maybe they still hadn't reached their absolute peak. But it doesn't matter, because the Lion's Daughter called it quits, and their final show is tomorrow in St. Louis, Missouri. And today I want to talk about the Lion's Daughter, metal's most creative and underappreciated and totally unique and underrated modern band. There is nobody quite like the Lion's Daughter. Period. End of story. I hope my story made sense now. Now we're actually going to talk about the Lion's Daughter. Cheers! Oh, that's way too much gin for this early in the morning. Goddamn. The Lion's Daughter was formed in 2007 by Eric Ramsey, Scott Fogelbach, and Rick Giordano. These three have been the foundation of the Lion's Daughter from day one. Other people have come and gone from the band. They've joined, they've left, they've switched instruments, but these three are the consistent creative foundation and drive of the Lion's Daughter from day one. Now, it did take a little while for the Lion's Daughter to start releasing music, but once they came out swinging. In 2011, they released 2 EPs, The Forgotten Masters and Hemementabulosis, as well as a split with another band called Fister, entitled And Their Masters Bled for Days, and also a debut full-length album the following year entitled Shame on Us All. And across all of these releases, you are getting some very raw, bleak, miserable, kind of blackened, sludgy metal. It's very aggressive, very misanthropic, a lot of self-loathing and pain and agony all across these albums. Just totally blunt and unforgiving all the way. Just totally blunt and unforgiving. Just totally blunt and unforgiving all the way through. Maybe not the most visceral or varied or dynamic or, unique, but really solid records. I think they start showing a little bit more of who they are on A Black Sea in 2013. This was a collaborative record they did with a St. Louis folk band called Indian Blanket. There's a lot of depth and more warm, rustic tones on this album, more acoustics, more dynamics that complement the harsh, sludgy metal quite nicely. No Clean Singing described songs from this album back in the day as a combination of Agalloch and Neurosis, and honestly, I think that holds up pretty well. Their 2016 sophomore album, Existence as Horror, was in that same vein of miserable, misanthropic, brutal, blackened, sludgy metal, but it did feel bigger, it did feel bolder, it did feel like the Lion's Daughter was building up to crazier and more extreme things on that album. There were different types of riffs and grooves and atmospherics and textures across the board here. It felt more distinct, it felt more impactful, it had more oomph and spice as a result of all of this. But for me and many others, where the Lion's Daughter become the Lion's Daughter, where they really start turning heads, is with Future Cult in 2018. The very simple but genius decision to bring synthesizers and electronics into the mix, quite frankly, made a world of difference. The music was all the more unnerving and creepy and unsettling and uncomfortable now. The writing was also sharper. The production was also better. You still had that, like, misanthropic, self-loathing, agonizing, sludgy element, but now it felt more dystopian. It felt more bizarre. It felt more brazen. It had this really chilling kind of effect. I mean, everything was just bigger and better and darker. Lyrically, too, I feel like Lion's Daughter was striking upon some more interesting gold here as well. But then, we get to Skin Show in 2021. If Future Cult was Batman Begins, then Skin Show is The Dark Fucking Knight. God fucking damn. Once again, the Lion's Daughter getting bigger, bolder, crazier, weirder, darker, more dynamic, bringing in more versatile tones and textures and rhythms, new influences, more electronics and synthesizers, because hell fucking yes. Also, maybe a little bit more high concept. As the band described the album themselves on their Bandcamp page, Skin Show could be the soundtrack to Times Square in the 1970s, the epicenter of sin and salacious misdeeds, a haven for sex, drugs, and crime beneath the inviting glow of neon signs dangling in sleazy adult stores, a place where angels fear to tread, trepidation from eerie simps prefigure the knife at the throat of insistent death, black, and doom metal familiar to only to those exposed to the deviance of Future Cult. Hell fucking yes. What can I even say about this album that is somehow better than that? Right there. What the fuck can I say? That's a genuine question, not just for you, but for the Lion's Daughter, if y'all are somehow watching. You might be, actually, because Rick has been on the channel before, and you know, we're cool, we're good. How you doing, Rick? How you doing? What's up? Cheers. I should probably stop drinking gin, but I'm gonna keep doing it because who fucking cares? I love this album. So much. There is so much stuff on this album that I have quite frankly not heard anywhere else. You've got Sex Trap, a very moody, eerie, and promiscuous and sleazy and racy cut. It's got these chilling synths and these very simplistic electronic drums all the way through, these kind of pulsing, kind of like nightclub rhythms. It almost feels like an 80s kind of like club raver, or like an early 90s kind of industrial pop Nine Inch Nails style cut. And then it introduces some more aggressive, battering riffage and rhythms, and some more black metal, death metal riffs and textures and tones as well. And I mean, speaking of Nine Inch Nails, let's talk about Neon Teeth. I love the vibe of this song. I love the almost kind of interpolation of the Exorcist theme. I love those pulsing rhythms. I love how it has that like early 90s industrial metal, Nine Inch Nails kind of feel and grit to it, meshed with like black metal and sludge metal. And it has like a genuinely big, great, strong chorus. Like it's genuinely a really catchy song on top of being really dark and creepy and weird. And then there's the closing number, The Chemist, which after a few minutes of like noise, synth-laced, like heavy, moody doom metal, you know, it's creepy, it's weird, it's unorthodox, it's a little fucked in the head, you know. There's this huge switch into like more aggressive, riff-heavy kind of like death black metal with maybe just a little bit of a thrashy underbite as well. Like those riffs are genuinely, they got some genuine bite to them. God, there's so many more great songs too. I mean, Become the Night, Werewolf Hospital, Dead in Dreams, the title track Skin Show. Easily one of the best and most unique metal albums of 2021, at least in my opinion. Certainly one of my favorites. Obviously, I really didn't think it was possible for the Lion's Daughter to top this album. Until they did. Just a couple of years later. Wow. Let's talk about Bathhouse. The Lion's Daughter just completely embraced full-blown horror on this album. This is a genuinely really fucked up album through and through, with so many moments that genuinely freaked me out the first time I heard them. And to be honest, some moments still freak me out. Like the song 12:31:89. For the most part, a genuinely pretty fun, raucous, synth-heavy, kind of plodding heavy metal cut. It's got a lot of oomph and energy to it. It's definitely dark and weird and has its crazy moments, but doesn't go real batshit until maybe the 3-minute mark. We start getting some blood-curdling, bloodthirsty screams and monstrous noises. And it scared the shit out of me first time I heard it. A variety of different vocal samples, I guess, here. You have somebody mumbling, you have somebody screaming, you have these, like, nature sounds in the background, and again, just these, like, monstrous noises. Like, it sounds like somebody grinding teeth, or, like, these, like, slimy, liquidy kind of noises, and these monstrous groans. I don't even really know what's happening here. It sounds like somebody crashing their car and then being eaten alive by, like, some kind of creature as, like, something plays over the news on the radio. And then I guess, fuck it, we're back to business as usual, back into that kind of pulsing, throbbing, kind of synth-heavy, death alt metal. We even get this, like, big, evocative, kind of Deftone-style vocal hook later on in the cut, bringing the whole thing to a surprisingly pretty cinematic and cathartic close. God, I kind of forgot how awesome this fucking album is, too. Like, the opening number and title track, Bathhouse, just completely embraces this really gnarly, vicious, savage, kind of like death, thrash metal kind of energy and mayhem. It's an incredibly dynamic and flexible cut. I mean, you have these towering walls of, like, synth-laden kind of, like, black metal, like, tremolo riffs and battering rhythms. You have a really strong, almost Machine Head type chorus. Like, I could picture that being in a Machine Head song. And you have these shredding guitars and more wailing synths and electronics. It is just a fantastic cut through and through. Then there's Your Pets Died on TV, which is filled with, like, these really chilling, horrifying synths and electronics, constantly flying over everything, ominously hanging over these repetitive, battering rhythms and these, like, really gnarly, dry gutturals. Liminal Blue is kind of cool, too. It has this very, like, mopey, angsty kind of feel and vibe to it. I like the kind of, like, winding synths and drums and guitars all the way through. It sounds and feels like a really cold, gray, rainy night. Just fantastic shit, man. I love how the band just completely embraces, like, abstract horror and body horror and, like, real life traumatizing horror, and they do it all in a way where they're building on Skin Show, but it's also a more fun album. Like, I feel like there's more, like, gnarly earworm riffs and hooks all the way through. When I heard the news that the Lion's Daughter was calling it quits, I initially thought something was wrong. Like, something had happened behind the scenes, Rick was sick, or someone else, that there'd been some kind of family incident, or I don't know. Like, it just didn't sound or feel right, because, you know, with Skin Show, Future Cult, Bathhouse, it just felt like this band was getting better and better and better and weirder and crazier and darker and more unpredictable and more insane and more unique and more cool with every single album. And I was really, really excited to see what they were going to do next. But then I understood that the Lion's Daughter just felt that it was time. They'd been around for 18 years, and they had done everything they set out to do, and it was just time for them to go. That was it. It didn't matter that I showed up to the party late. The party was over. That's just how it is. I think that it can be difficult for people, especially metal fans, to wrap their head around the idea of a band just kind of being done, having accomplished everything they set out to accomplish and just wanting to disappear before they ruin whatever legacy they have, whatever impact they've made. Like, in the case of Ozzy Osbourne, this is a man, realistically, who should have retired years ago. He is in horrible physical condition. He has been for several years. His voice is in awful shape. He cannot sing. He uses autotune and he lip syncs whenever and wherever possible. And in my opinion, the last couple of albums have not been great. I don't care if they won Grammys. I don't care if millions of people bought them. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're very strong at all. They have strong moments, I will concede, but nevertheless. And I mean, Ozzy's in his, mid-70s by now. He has nothing to prove. He hasn't had anything to prove for like 20, 30 years now. It's time. He doesn't need to do one big final show. He doesn't need to do one big send-off, one more album. He doesn't need to bring back Black Sabbath again to help him do this one big final show. It's okay to just go, Ozzy. It's fine. It really, truly is. I think the Lion's Daughter are like really desperately trying to avoid that kind of situation. I mean, obviously they're not on the same level as Ozzy or Black Sabbath in terms of influence and just, you know, overall like size. They're not that big. But I think that the Lion's Daughter are smart enough and self-aware enough to see that so many bands in general, whether they're big or small, like, they just go on and on and on and on, and it's just not fun for anyone anymore. Like, on a smaller scale, I just saw a video of Asking Alexandria play Warped Tour, and Danny does not give a fuck. He does not give a fuck at all. He is mumbling a good chunk of his songs, and he has his face obscured the entire set, wearing a big hood, face away from the camera. And the moment the set is over, he just fucking leaves. And simultaneous to that, let's be honest here, Asking Alexandria haven't been even remotely relevant in like 5-10 years or so. And honestly, I think I'm being a little generous with that estimation of time. There are other modern metal bands that are also calling it quits. Ithaca, Svalbard, Code Orange also went on a hiatus earlier this year, and that sucks. It hurts, it really does. But Lion's Daughter hurts the most, because I've been following them for like 7-8 years, holy shit. And I've just seen them become better and better with every album, get crazier, get weirder, get darker, and I really felt they were on the verge of becoming like this big, massive fucking thing, and it just never really happened for them, and it should have, but it didn't. But they're okay with that. They're moving on, and I have massive fucking respect for them for that. Now, it is possible that this will not be a permanent exit for the band. It is possible that, 5, 10, 15 years from now, somehow they have a song that gets popular somewhere, or they build a cult following and they just feel the need to come back. They've got one more thing they need to do. We've seen this time and time again, especially in the past couple of years. Nothing sells quite like nostalgia in 2025. I mean, all these bands that we assumed for a wide variety of valid reasons were done and gone, they're all back. I mean, Motley Crue, Pantera, Slayer, the Dillinger Escape Plan, fucking Acid Bath. For fuck's sakes, the original Alice Cooper lineup is coming back for one more album because nostalgia! Give me your money! Ah! It's nostalgia bait. All of it. End of story. Period. Anybody arguing otherwise is a fucking liar. I will die on this fucking hill. And I think Lion's Daughter is willing to die with me because they've joked about, oh, get ready for our reunion tour in like 5 years or whatever. But, all jokes aside, it's possible. It really is. And in a way, I hope that it does happen. But I also hope it doesn't. I hope that Lion's Daughter enjoy their final show tomorrow. I hope they all move on to do different, better things. I hope they're all happy and safe and comfortable. Because, yeah, it sucks, but it's their choice, and they did all they needed to do, and I have to respect that. I would love for St. Lo to still be kicking around. I'd love for Lion's Daughter to come to Toronto, and we have drinks at St. Lo, and we have oysters and steak and mussels, and we shoot the shit and hang out all fucking night. But it's just not possible. It is what it is. Life goes on. There will always be other restaurants. There will always be other bands. Rest in peace to the Lion's Daughter, metal's most underrated metal band. Period. End of story. Fuck you. Subscribe. Other videos. Join us on Discord. Have a great day.